Hey, sports fans, this is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes, recording live from St. Stephen's Community House in our Park National Bank lobby. A very nice lobby, too. So, today I want to talk about an AFC North team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Hooray! I'm very excited to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals this morning. One thing I'm very excited about the Bengals is their starting quarterback, Joe Burrow, was in the game on the first drive. I was excited to see him out there because we know these first couple of seasons he's been in the NFL, he has taken some serious blows because his offensive line just has not been up to par. So it was good to see him have command of the offense on that first drive, going 5 for 7 for 51 yards and a touchdown to T. Higgins. T. Higgins is probably becoming his favorite receiver because Jamar Chase just can't seem to stay healthy. And Jamar Chase did not play in this game, along with Zach Moss. Zach Moss didn't play in this game either. He was ill and they didn't want him on the sidelines, possibly spreading any germs to get any of the other players sick. But I was excited to see Joe Burrow out there on that first drive that almost ended in a field goal because when they got in the field goal range, they had an incompletion on first down. Then they got stopped for a 2 yard loss on second down, and then they got a false start. So they had a third and 17. And then they decide to go down the field with a pass and got a pass interference, which continued their drive and they were able to get a touchdown out of it. Another thing I was happy about with Joe Burrow was he went down the field on a deep ball to T. Higgins, who was in double coverage. Now, listen, T. Higgins, you have got to come down with these kind of balls because when Joe Burrow placed that ball where he placed it at, you've got to catch it, even if it's in double coverage. You have to become a 70-30 receiver to where you're going to catch 30% of those double coverage balls because you can get up in the air and get those balls for your quarterback and for your team. You have to start making those plays. They can't be 50-50 balls where 50% the defense can get it and 50% you can get it. It got to become a 70-30 or 80-20. 80% you getting it, 20% they getting it. Or 70% you getting it, or 30% they getting it. And in no means should it even be 20 or 30. You got to knock the ball out their hand if you think you don't have a chance to get it. But anyway, I'm excited that they were clicking in that game on that first drive, and I was excited to see that. The offensive line kept him clean, but offensive line, you had a lot of mistakes in this game. Listen, you got to start playing better football. They have one lineman, um, his name is Jackson Carman. He had 4 penalties. You playing at home and you getting penalties? False starts? Come on, man. Your crowd is not going to make a whole bunch of noise when you got the ball. So you should not have any false starts. And you're a 4 year player. You've been on this team for 4 years. Your days might be numbered. You might not be on that 53-man roster if you keep making these kind of penalties. Because, trust me, coaches want players to play for them that they can trust to execute what they're trying to do. And, young man, if you can't execute what they're trying to do, them millions is going to leave your pocket and you're going to be at the crib. So let's hope. Hopefully, Jackson Carmen can get it together and make some noise the rest of the preseason. I'm very excited about Amarius Mims, another lineman, rookie for the Bengals. Listen, this guy is going to be good. He is going to be good on that offensive line, something that the Bengals desperately need because Joe Burrow is going to be a 13, 15-year quarterback. Whenever you're in the NFL and you got your quarterback position sold up, with a solid guy who's a major athlete like Joe Burrow is, listen, you can be relevant for the whole time that he is your quarterback. And you talking 13 to 15 years that you got a chance to win it all when you got a good quarterback like Cincinnati has in Joe Burrow. Another rookie that I was excited to see was Josh Newton, defensive player, playing cornerback. He got an interception in that game. He played really well out there. He almost had another interception. Listen, whenever you can play cornerback in the NFL, that's a hot commodity position because many guys they don't last long in the NFL if you can't play that cornerback position. You might get a couple of years in, but if you can't play that position, your days are marked. You don't play very long or have a very long career at that cornerback position. But Newton played exceptionally well on the defensive side of the ball in that game. Another rookie that I'm excited about, and he played awesome on the offensive side of the ball, was wide receiver Jermaine. What is his last name? Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton. Jermaine Burton balled out. He scored a touchdown too. Listen, wide receiver position at Cincinnati is in good shape. You got two primetime starters in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And then you got a guy who can get them a spell whenever they go for the deep ball and they got to come off the field because they don't want them to go back out there tired for that next play. You got a guy like Jermaine Burton who can come in and make some noise, and he balled out on Saturday in that preseason game. I'm excited to see what he did. Defensively, Cincinnati Bengals, you got some work to do on that defensive interior of your line. Now, I understand that the starters didn't play, but the two guys that they're going to need to come in and give them a breather, those guys did not look good at all in this game. They were getting manhandled, and they were getting manhandled on one-on-ones. They weren't even being double teamed. My man out of Michigan, Chris Jenkins, come on, man. You got ball out. They need you to get valuable reps in these games. This is a 17-game season. Defensive tackles can't play every down. They're going to need you to come in there and help them out. So, Chris Jackson, get your work on, bro. Get your work on because they're going to need you. And Zach Carter. Come on, Zach Carter. You've been in the league a number of years, buddy. You're not a rookie. You got to be able to handle things in that defensive front to help keep them linebackers clean so they can make some plays. Now, two players that I'm very excited about on that defensive line, they played very, very well in that game, in that preseason game, was Joseph Osai at the one defensive end position, and I think it was Miles Murphy at the other defensive end position. Those two guys played very well. And Chris Evans, the kickoff returner, he had a good game as well. He had three kickoffs for 83 yards. With one of his kickoff returns was for 37 yards. That was his long of the day. Listen, in the NFL, they're changing that rule on the kickoffs. They're kicking the ball off from a further kickoff point, which means we're going to get an opportunity to see more kickoff returns. And whenever you can get a good return, like Chris Evans was giving the Bengals, you can get a shorter field to where you only got to get 20 or 30 yards and you can get a field goal. Them are points. In the NFL, 3 points is like major money when you can get 3 points on the scoreboard as opposed to zero. And starting up by the 45 or your own 45, 50-yard line as opposed to starting on your 20, 25-yard line. You know, those kickoff returns are very critical. And they had another kick returner who had a pretty decent kick return as well later on in the game. But overall, I think the Cincinnati Bengals did what they needed to do. They got to shore up that defense because they gave up some runs that they should not be giving up because the Buccaneers played their second and third string players. They didn't really play their first string players. So anytime you can't shut out a second team unit and you got your first team out there, you got some troubles defensively. But I think that once they shore up that defensive line, those two front defensive tackles, they got good ends, they got solid linebackers, and they got some up and coming corners that can help them out as well. I think they're going to be okay. And I think they're in a division where they're going to have to really get some things clicking because I believe the division they're in, that AFC North, is the toughest division in the AFC because you got the Steelers, you got the Browns, and you got the Ravens. And anytime you got to go on the road and play those teams, you know it's going to be a tough contest. Even when you think you're going to play that home instead of Ohio game against the Cleveland Browns, that's always a competitive game. So hopefully the Cincinnati Bengals can get that shored up on the defense. But offensively, I think they're going to be fine with Zach Evans and the other running back that they have. But that offensive line, you got to get some bully ball in you and start smash mouthing some guys and cut down on those penalties. But other than that, that's all I have on the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they're going to be a solid team in the NFL this year, and I believe that they have a really good chance of making the playoffs. They may not win their division, but I think they're going to be close. It just depends on how well the Baltimore Ravens or what kind of lead the Baltimore Ravens get in that division with them, the Steelers and the Browns. But I think overall they got a good chance of making it to the playoffs as a wild card. And hopefully we'll see them do that. Because I know the Cincinnati fans will be excited to see the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs again, especially when they had a good run 2 years ago. Should have should have made it to the Super Bowl. Should have made it to the Super Bowl. Kansas City would probably be one less Super Bowl champion if they had pulled that game out. But nonetheless, we still hope that the Bengals do well. And for my family who are Bengals fans, this is for you. Hooray! Thank you all for tuning in and listening to this video today. Please continue to subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please check out all of our other videos and please hit the like button on those and also hit the bell so that you get notifications anytime we post a video. So, with nothing else, I want to thank St. Stephen's Community House for sponsoring this video. If you ever get a chance to visit St. Stephen's, they got plenty to offer for our seniors, for our community. They got a food market where you can come and get food daily. They also have senior daycare where if you have an older parent that you need to come somewhere during the day, they have it here at St. Stephen's. They have two after-school program locations at Windsor STEM Academy and South Mifflin STEM Academy. If you have students that go to either one of those schools, make sure that you reach out to whoever their after-school program coordinator is so that you can get your child signed up for those programs. They also have Impact in our building to where you can come and get an appointment for Impact if you need assistance with your utilities. So if nothing else needs to be said, and nothing else needs to be said because I think the Bengals are going to have a good season. Hooray!